afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my lecture. I'm Ulrike Wuttke, and I'm a PhD student at Ghent University at the Department of Dutch. As an introduction to my speak, I would like to read to you some lines of the Middle Dutch author Jan van Boendalen. You can follow the original on the screen if you wish to. Then, that is at the end of time, shall the gates be released, behind which Alexander the Great locked a huge crowd of Jews, because of all the evil and inhuman life they were leading. This is how I understand my source, the Scholastica. My lecture today is called Good Jew or Bad Jew, Jews at the end of time in the work of Jan van Boendalen. So in the 7 next minutes, I will be covering the following 3 points. First, I will introduce our author, Jan van Boendalen, and Christian thinking about the end of time. Then, I will be discussing as a positive as a negative role for the Jews at the end of time, using some quotations from the Book van der Wraken, that is, in English, the Book of Punishment. As a third topic, and last topic, I will be shortly discussing the question whether Jan van Boendalen was an anti-Semite or not. There will be some time to ask questions at the end. But let us come to Jan van Boendalen first. The 14th century poet Jan van Boendalen spent most of his working life in the city of Antwerp, today Belgium. You can see a list of Jan van Boendalen's oeuvre on the screen. But not all of these works can definitely be attributed to him. Those works with a contested authorship are sometimes referred to as being from the Antwerp school. But let us now move on to Christian beliefs about the end of time. The study about the Christian beliefs about the end of time is called eschatology. That means teaching about the last things. Now, the Christian teaching about the last things can be understood as well individually as universally. Christians believe the world history to be linear and limited. Because the Christians' world history has a concrete end and beginning, or the other way around. It begins with the creation of the world and it ends with the last judgment. Medieval Christians believed that the last judgment was near. However, it was not known what would happen between the incarnation of Christ and the last judgment, and also not how much time was left. Now, the only information in the Bible concerning the events that would precede the last judgment can be found in the Gospel of Matthew. But the signs in Matthew are quite general. However, it is important to realize that through the Middle Ages, different traditions existed that included other signs than in the biblical tradition. So, what does the Bible tell us about the role of the Jews at the end of time? To be honest, nothing definite. But one quotation from Paul's letter to the Romans was interpreted to be about the conversion of the Jews just before the last judgment. Because of the exegetical tradition on these lines, the conversion of the Jews is part of many medieval end-time accounts. If you have a closer look at the attitude of the common people in the Middle Ages against the Jews, it becomes clear that anti-Jewish violence started surging from the beginning of the Crusades in the 11th century. Some of the Crusaders were very eager to slay the enemy, that's how they thought of the Jews, already at home. But leading churchmen took measures to end the pogroms and to protect the Jewish communities. Their main argument was the awaited conversion of the Jews before the end of time. And it is this tradition that we can find back in the Book van der Wraken from our author Jan van Boendalen. He writes, "At this point of time, the Jews shall be saved. Then the Israelites too will live in a safe place, because since the day they killed Christ, they have never had neither land nor safety. But then they will clearly realize that they had made a big mistake." But in the same work, we can also find a lengthy passage that describes a huge crowd of evil Jews that will persecute the Christians before the end of time. This view has developed from the following citation. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Now, I think it is obvious to you that this passage from the book of Revelation about Gog and Magog does not say anything about Jews. So, how did Gog and Magog become Jews? To understand this, we have to make some intermediate steps. According to legend, the Greek hero Alexander the Great had enclosed a large group of evil people behind some mountains in the east. These people became mixed with the biblical Gog and Magog in the highly popular prophecy of Pseudo-Methodius. At some point, Gog and Magog and the evil nations that Alexander had put in prison were identified with the Jewish 10 lost tribes of Israel. First, we can find this conflation in Historia Scholastica from the 12th century by Petrus Comester. And we can also find it back in the book van der Braken. Bundale writes here, then the gates will be released behind which Alexander the Great enclosed the Jews. He locked them behind some mountains for more than 2,000 years because of their evilness and their very sinful way of living. That brings me to the end of my presentation. So, what can we say so far about Jan van Boendale's attitude against the Jews? Was he an anti-Semite? Now, in my opinion, the occurrence of both motives, the evil apocalyptic Jews and the hope for the conversion of the Jews at the end of time, in the same text makes us aware of two things. First, that the mere use of the motive of the evil Jews doesn't necessarily make the author an anti-Semite. And secondly, that we have to consider that he also passes on knowledge from sources that in his eyes were authorities, and that maybe the completeness of the information mattered more to him than the consistency of the information. So, I have to conclude, maybe for Jan van Boendale, both was true. The Jews had to be spared because most of them will convert to Christianity at the end of the time, but also some of them will come forth as an evil crowd and persecute the Christians. We would have to consider his whole oeuvre more thoroughly to find out if he had more specific prejudices against the Jews. This is all for today, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Questions? No doubt. Perhaps quickly thinking of one, I've heard raised the theory that in the time of Christ and when the Apocalypse was written, what was it? At the time that, what is the book called by John about the Apocalypse in the Bible?
The Book of Revelation.
Book of Revelation, thank you very much. That at that time there were many, many messiahs. Is that correct or not?
There were some people that would think of themselves.
That claimed themselves to be so.
But for the Jews, like we all know, even Jesus was not
Yeah,
a
Messiah.
So they were still waiting for the true Messiah. In fact, they are still waiting, and the true Messiah would come back with the 10 lost tribes of Israel. So if they return with the true Messiah. So the true Messiah returns, the 10 lost tribes will come back. But there will be not an evil crowd.
Yeah.
That's a whole profession that is very difficult to understand, but that led to this view of evil Jews appearing at the end of time.
To come back then perhaps to your conclusion, saying that we need to look deeper into other writings by this author to find out whether it was truly. Are there many other texts by this author that mention the Jews?
He mentioned them in almost all of his.
Okay.
We could go back to the list of. In fact, he mentions Jews also at more places in the book van der Braken, so in this book of punishment. He also mentions them in the Brabanting Deeds and also in his Layman's Mirror. They were a very common topic, and he says in his different works different things about Jews. So sometimes they are the people that, how do you say, that poison the wells, for instance. But he also has the same anecdote in another work about the Jews poisoning the wells, and then he says, but no, this is not true. So it's not a very consistent view actually you get of his works, what he really thought about the Jews.
What was his position? I wondered. Was he were his works commissioned, or was it?
Most of his works were commissioned, but he seems to take position in between.
Yeah.
So he is not very friendly with the Jews, but he doesn't say, oh, let's slaughter them. But until now, the research thinks that maybe he had some prejudices, but he didn't want just the crowd to go and make a program, because he was very much in for civilization, have the crowd peaceful, listen to your government, so not just doing something on your own account.
Okay. Thank you very much. There's more questions. Yeah, please do. Yeah.
I was just wondering, is this question you're discussing about whether it's anti-Semitic or not, does it fit in a broader story that you're telling us, or is it about the man and his life, or is it about politics and history, or what's the bigger picture?
Sometimes in research they take these quotations about the role of the Jews at the end of time to make out if the author or the person who wrote the text or just the intention of the text is pro or anti-Semite. And I think it doesn't work like this, because if you have one text where you have both roles clearly described, so wait for the Jews because they will converse at the end of time, but also the same story, there will be coming an evil crowd of Jews at the end of time. In fact, tells us using this motive doesn't tell us anything about the way they look at the Jews. It's more he is collecting different opinions and finding out more what his stand in life was, how he took the topic. We cannot only be concerned with his motive.
Okay.
I was just wondering, who is Alexander the Great for Jan van der Velde? Is it a figure or an image of the Antichrist or Christ? Or is the true Alexander the Great that we know?
For him, Alexander the Great in this work, I have to say, is a good hero. So he is some kind of prefiguration of Christ. So he's a positive hero, but if you look at another work, this Layman's Mirror, there he also says, okay, Alexander the Great was a great hero, but, and then he comes with all the mistakes Alexander actually made at it, why he was killed, and so then he takes back this positive hero.
Okay, thank you very much.